Hello, and welcome back to Technology Now, a weekly show from Hewlett Packard Enterprise where we take what's happening in the world and explore how it's changing the way organizations are using technology. We're your hosts, Aubrey Lovell
and Michael Bird. Right, so in this episode, we are looking ahead at the enterprise tech event of the year, HPE Discover Las Vegas, during the week of June 17th, 2024. It'll see curated programs of events across edge and networking, hybrid cloud and AI, and it'll feature hundreds of sessions and an opportunity to network for thousands of global tech leaders, customers, and partners. And to give us a bit of a sneak peek, we are joined today by a very special guest, HPE President and CEO, Antonio Neri. Aubrey, we better be on our best behavior.
Yes, we do. And Antonio has joined us to talk through what he's most looking forward to from HPE Discover 2024, as well as possibly giving us some hints as to what his keynote speech might cover.
Yes, please.
Right? So clearly, if you're the kind of person who needs to know why what's going on in the world matters to your organization, this podcast is for you. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to your podcast app of choice so you don't miss out. All right, Michael, are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready for this. Let's do it. HPE Discover is HPE's biggest event of the year, attracting thousands of customers, partners, business leaders, technologists, and experts for a 3-day knowledge-sharing extravaganza. Now, plenty of visitors will be going there to brush up on the latest technological trends that affect their organizations, while others will be coming to see innovation in action through new product demos.
Now, there's certainly a lot going on, and with big events like this, it's sometimes difficult to know where to start. There's a comprehensive schedule on the HPE Discover website, which we've linked in the show notes, and plenty of these talks will be live streamed, so you can catch up even if you can't be there in person.
But with all the amazing things to see and people to meet, the keynotes are undoubtedly the highlight. And on the 18th of June at 9 a.m. Pacific time, President and CEO Antonio Neri will take to the stage to give his keynote address from Las Vegas's iconic Sphere. Very cool. So to find out more about that and the HPE Discover at large, this week we are thrilled to welcome the man himself to the podcast, Antonio Neri. Antonio, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael, for having me.
So for our listeners who might not be familiar, can you just give us a brief explanation as to what HPE Discover is?
Well, HPE Discover is a flagship event. Is an event that we host in Vegas, like you said, once a year, where we bring customers from all over the world, including our partners, to talk about what are the key mega trends, what are the major inflection points, and what HPE is doing about that, which ends up in a showcase of our innovation on an amazing show floor, and the ability for customers and partners to get to with our experts and to be able to experience that technology on the floor. So we are really excited about this year's event because it's going to be the biggest ever. We expect to exceed 15,000 customers and partners throughout the week. And this is the first time we are combining both the HPE Discovery event and what we call HPE Atmosphere, which is the event that Aruba on the networking side has been hosting for a number of years. So I will say it's going to be the biggest and the most epic event since the inception of Hewlett Packard Enterprise.
And so why is HPE Discover such a big part of our calendar?
It is an important check-in, I will say, is the ability to connect with customers, to listen to them, to answer their questions, to demonstrate that HPE can be their partner of choice across the edge to cloud infrastructure with a portfolio that ultimately delivers the business outcomes they're looking for. So for us, it's an important connection time, I will say. And it's also an opportunity for us to create a pipeline of opportunities that our sales team can follow after the event.
There's lots to be excited for this year, including that you will be the first keynote in Sphere with NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. What can we expect from HPE Discover 2024, and what are you most excited about?
Well, I cannot talk about the announcements, but we're going to have a series of announcements that are going to be, I think, breakthrough. Obviously, the highlight is that Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, is going to be on stage with me at Sphere. This is an amazing venue where the experience of the keynote is going to be elevated to a new level, to new heights, I will say. And he's going to be my special guest. As you can imagine, we're going to talk about AI, the opportunity with AI, the challenges that AI poses to society and enterprises at large. Also talk about how we're going to make it easier for enterprise to adopt these amazing technologies. So it's going to be a lot of announcements around AI, but not just AI, also around HP GreenLake and then the rest of the portfolio as well.
Is there anything in particular that you are looking forward to seeing or doing at HP Discover 2024?
Well, as always, connect with customers. This is a customer and partner event. So for me, it's all about spending time with customers and partners to listen carefully. And most important, to build the relationships with your colleagues and across the organization at large with our partners too. So what I'm looking forward to is to people really spend the time on that show floor, having the conversation with customers and partners and understand what their needs are. Because ultimately, we need that input. We are a customer-in organization so that our product management and our engineering teams can really prioritize those needs as we think about the future roadmaps.
I imagine there will be several announcements in your keynote. Without giving too much away, can you give us hints?
Obviously, the theme will be all about AI. Be able to showcase AI at Sphere is going to be an amazing opportunity. We're going to be the first corporate event at Sphere, so really proud of that. My team has pushed me, and I have pushed them to make it happen in many ways. So we are going to raise the bar. But I think from an announcements perspective, obviously it's going to be about AI, but at the core is how we make it simple to enterprises to adopt these technologies. And as you can imagine, that's the work we're doing with our partners like NVIDIA.
Because it really feels like we're at this inflection point for AI. Like it's been bubbling under the surface for a few years and then it's just exploded, hasn't it? So it feels like a super excited time.
It is exploding, but I think there are three different curves, right? The first curve obviously was 18 months ago or so. And since then, many companies have come to the market with their specific models. We see now interest from the sovereign side of the house. You see every government is trying to get ahead by building an AI cloud, an AI capability that ultimately can open to their countries, whether it's on the public sector or more and more to the enterprise to do research, life science, and other things like climate forecast and many other type of use cases. And then you have the third wave, which is at the beginning, I will say, which is the AI enterprise. And they are going through the journey of defining what are the right use cases for them so they can deliver not just the outcome, but do it in a compliant, regulatory way that ultimately is also sustainable, because sustainability plays a key component, because this requires an amazing amount of accelerated compute power, and it doesn't come for free. So the need to get the space, the cooling, the power increases exponentially as we look forward. And that's where Hewlett Packard Enterprise is uniquely positioned to deliver against those needs.
Yeah, because of course, using more compute uses more energy. And so it's trying to figure out how to do that in the most efficient way. Are HPE in a good position to be able to support that?
Absolutely. I mean, today, if you think about the largest supercomputers, HPE owns 4 of the top 10 supercomputers, number 1 and number 2, the 2 fastest, with Frontier and Aurora. So we take that expertise and we scale it down to generative AI. And then we also own 7 of the top 10 supercomputers. They are greenest, meaning the ability to cool the systems and reduce the energy consumption is very unique. And that's why Hewlett Packard Enterprise have more than 300 patents in the direct liquid cooling, which will be required as the new silicon for accelerated compute comes online. And as you watch closely NVIDIA, with the famous Grace Hopper and then ultimately with Blackwell, as the number of core increases, the number of wattage per GPU increases dramatically. And at some point, once you cross the 1,000 watts, you will have to use these direct liquid cooling technologies to cool the system down. Air will not do it. And that's why HPE is very uniquely positioned to deliver against that opportunity.
And are there any announcements, again, no, I know you can't talk too much, but anything that maybe builds on previous announcements from previous HPE Discover events?
They're always built on the previous announcements, because if you go back to my first year as a CEO, when I basically laid out the thesis that the enterprise of the future will be edge-centric, cloud-enabled, and data-driven, we delivered on that edge-centric approach. We told the market the edge is the next frontier. So there was a lot of announcements over the last 5 years or so, and we're going to continue to build on that. When we said the cloud-enabled, obviously HPE GreenLake has been the forefront of that innovation, and there will be a lot of announcements around GreenLake and how we continue to simplify that cloud experience in what I call cloud native environment. And then when we think about data driven, obviously 6 years ago, I didn't know about the AI inflection point at the speed we're seeing it today, although we have been in the AI space for a long time, for decades, I will say, with our supercomputing technologies. But now, obviously, is about the adoption across the entire life cycle from training to tuning to inferencing. So everything we do, Michael, is always in that context, building on that edge to cloud vision, putting HPE GreenLake at the center of everything we do, and continue to build the momentum through a series of introductions that are actually tied to the experience we have been delivering for the last 6 years.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Amazing insights, and we can't wait to hear more from you in a moment, so please don't go anywhere.
Okay, well, now it is time for Today I Learned, the part of the show where we take a look at something happening in the world that we think you should know about. Aubrey, what do you have for us this week?
Well, you might have seen them in sci-fi films, but insect-sized drones fitted with cameras could soon be a reality, following a fascinating experiment in neural networks. This should be really good. Researchers in the Netherlands have fitted a flying drone with a tiny neural network consisting of 28,000 points in a layered stack, which are able to form unique connections with each other based on what data is fed to the system. They hooked up the network to a 3D camera and found that the system could accurately trace and build up maps of the surrounding area in real time and develop control instructions almost as quickly. What makes the system unique is that it uses so-called spiking neural networks, which more closely mimic the way real brains work by only powering up specific parts of the system to complete certain tasks. What that means is that they only send and process the signals that they need in order to complete an action or calculation, making them far quicker and more efficient. Using AI to process the visual data, the drone received and then translated that into movements, with the drone being able to autonomously control itself and navigate terrain with very little lag. The system was able to give around 200 motion control instructions every second. Now, to give you some idea of how efficient the system is, according to researchers, the process uses 0.94 watts of idle power and an additional 7 to 12 milliwatts while running the network. That's less than a quarter of the power used by the kind of mobile processors you'll find in a cell phone and a much more compact package. That in turn means smaller batteries and smaller drones.
Aubrey, that was absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much. Right, well, now it is time to return to our guest Antonio Neri to talk more about HPE Discover Las Vegas 2024. Why is HPE the right place and at the right time when it comes to AI?
Because we actually have been in the traditional infrastructure for decades. We have been innovating in the cloud native space with HPE GreenLake, and we have the AI capabilities at scale to take advantage of this inflection point, which what I call the AI native world. So HPE, through HPE GreenLake and the infrastructure and the software that we have, we can bridge the traditional world to the cloud native world to the AI native world, all with the same experience delivered through one integrated platform, which is HPE GreenLake. And underneath that, at the infrastructure level, we provide the most comprehensive portfolio from the networking core foundation. This is why the Juniper transaction is very critical in my mind. It's going to give us a significant differentiation down the road, because ultimately this accelerated compute needs to be connected to the network, and between the IP that Juniper has and the intellectual property that HPE has through both HPE Aruba Networking and HPE Slingshot, which is our networking fabric for supercomputing, we can take advantage of that. We have the broadest portfolio, air-cooled, direct liquid-cooled, general-purpose compute to HPC to AI systems now that actually can address all the needs for accelerated computing. And then we have the storage business, which is critical to store and manage that data. And there, we have been driving an integrated strategy with our flagship product called HPE Alletra, so that we can address all the needs for both structured and unstructured data. And as you go through the AI inflection point, more unstructured data will be used. And that's why we're building all these capabilities into one integrated platform.
Wow. So do you think AI is now something that every business and organization needs to be thinking about in order to keep up with their competitors and the wider marketplace? I guess what I'm saying is, is AI now not optional? You just have to be considering it.
Absolutely. I agree. As it was digitizing and automating your business and the adoption of cloud native technologies, which at the core was speed and agility, this is all about business process productivity and obviously decision making. So if you're not adopting these technologies, you will be left behind. And I will argue that all of us will have to have some sort of AI minor as we go forward. Everybody specializes in one area, whether they're legal, finance, HR, engineering. Each of those roles will have a specific major type of degree. But in order to compete and as a talent, you need to stay ahead of the game. All of us will have to understand these AI principles. Therefore, you need to have some sort of AI minor in order to stay competitive. But as a business, if you are not leveraging these technologies, you will be left behind. And we saw a little bit of that, honestly, through the COVID. Those who were already digitized and were using data and data analytics really succeeded tremendously through the COVID period. And now this is the next big thing.
Do you have any final thoughts on particular messages, ideas, and opportunities you hope attendees take away coming out of HPE Discover?
Well, you're going to learn, first of all, a lot. The way we deliver these messages, we're trying to make it simple for the audience to understand. I think it's going to be an epic moment for the industry and for the company. And you're going to learn about what we do for our customers and the society at large. Honestly, we talk about business results, but at the same time, what we do is important for the society because all ties to our purpose, which is to advance the way people live and work. So we're going to bring this in the context of how this set of technologies advances the people part of the equation, the society part of the equation, and the other one obviously is how help businesses to progress as they go forward. And that experience at Sphere is going to be unique. But I think as a corporate event, we're going to establish a very high bar for others to follow. So we're going to make it not only informative, but also entertaining.
Brilliant, brilliant. Antonio, thank you so much for joining us. We are all very much looking forward to tuning into your keynote and hearing all the exciting announcements from HPE Discover 2024.
Thank you, Michael, for having me today.
Thank you so much, Antonio. It's so nice to have you here, and we really appreciate your time. And you can find more on the topics discussed in today's episode in the show notes, along with links to some of the upcoming HPE Discover highlights. All right, well, we're getting towards the end of the show, which means it's time for This Week in History, a look at monumental events in the world of business and technology, which has changed our lives. Michael, what do we have?
Well, the clue last week was, let's rewind to 1977. Did you get it? Well, it's the anniversary of the introduction of the VHS video cassette format to North America.
Nice.
Yes, big VHS fan here. Now, VHS was a game changer in home entertainment. It was an open standard, which meant that any company could adopt it, which in turn made it become more affordable very, very quickly. It offered longer playtimes, faster rewinding, and fast forwarding, something that other formats at the time couldn't compete with. Now, the early VHS players still weren't particularly cheap. Options at launch started at around $1,000. That's about $5,000 in 2024 money. But they were still half the price of the competing formats. But within 5 years, this had fallen to around $200, which is about $500 today, which is still expensive, but far, far more affordable and accessible to mass market consumers. The home entertainment revolution was born, and the rest, they say, is history.
The clue for next week? It's 1822, and this design really made a difference. Know what it is? Don't tell. All right, well, that actually brings us to the end of Technology Now for this week. Thank you so much to our guest, Antonio Neri, President and CEO of Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And to you, our listeners, thank you so much for joining us.
Technology Now is hosted by Aubrey Lovell and myself, Michael Bird, and this episode was produced by Sam Dattapoulin and Sydney Michelle Perry, with production support from Harry Morton, Zoe Addison, Alicia Kempson, Alison Paisley, Alyssa Mitri, Camilla Patel, and Chloe Sewell.
Our social editorial team is Rebecca Wissinger, Judy Ann Goldman, Katie Guarino, and our social media designers are Alejandra Garcia, Carlos Alberto Suarez, and Ambar Maldonado.
Technology Now is a Lower Street production for Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And we'll see you at the same time, same place next week. Cheers.